Happy Friday and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Red Sox podcast. I am your host, NESN's Lauren Campbell. Thank you, as always, for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. I will be joined shortly with my co-host, Jake Iggy, the Massachusetts Pirates team insider. He'll be here in just a few moments. We are so excited to bring you Friday's episode. Jake teased it a little bit this week, but we were joined by Section 10 podcast and Starting 9 podcast co-host Jared Carrabis. We covered a ton of stuff in our conversation. We are so excited, and this is only part one. So we are so excited to bring this to you, and let's just get right into it.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
We are here with baseball writer and personality for Barstool Sports, the co-host of Section 10 podcast and Starting 9 podcast. We're privileged to be joined by Jared the Rocket Carrabis. So how are we doing today, Jared?
What's going on, guys? How are you? I feel like I've been doing interviews with Lauren for like 10 years at this point. It's my first one with Jake, but I feel like Lauren and I when was the first time that we did something together? Like 2014?
Yeah, it was 2014, I think it was, with Red Sox Beat. Way back in the day, you were one of the first people who came on. So yeah, we go way back.
Yeah, I've been doing these for a while, but this is the first one with Jake. I'm excited to do this. We got to meet at Fenway on Dustin Pedroia Day this past season. During the season, it's impossible. Like my schedule is absolutely ridiculous, but I was like, all right, during the off season, we'll get it done. And now here we are.
Also, just for the listeners, something the first time we actually got to meet was I was doing a networking call with NESN reporter Meredith Gorman, and I was talking to her about you and how much of an influence you've been on myself. Wanting to not only start a podcast but work in sports for a career. And out of nowhere, like you popped up on FaceTime.
She just called me up, yeah.
and I when I talked to you at the Pedroia Day, it was pretty cool to hear the behind the scenes of that of how she messaged you and everything like that. And all I could think was like, what a sweetheart. But like up to this point, like other than meeting you at Fenway, like my jaw dropped when she's like, oh, Jared's calling. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I said to Lauren when we first started this, I said, one of my goals, yourself, Gary Streisky, and Don Orsillo is the main reason why I'm in this seat right now. I said, if we're able to get, 2 or 3 of those people on
Gary
this podcast, it'd be amazing.
Gary will definitely do it. He's like out there, like knocking down houses and building up new ones. I mean, he's got a lot going on outside of his professional life, but he'll do it. We'll get Gary.
Yeah, luckily him and I have been in contact a little bit. I tweeted out for his birthday. And so for anybody who's listening, definitely look out for a Gary Streisky interview coming potentially in the future. But how's your offseason been going?
I don't do anything really in the offseason. Every year I say I want to travel. Every year I'm like, I just want to go somewhere that doesn't have a major league team and do something fun, like maybe even by myself. And I never do it. I will just sit here and wait for baseball season. Last night, I watched all 4 Scream movies consecutively. I think maybe this weekend I'll go see Scream 5. But yeah, I don't do a lot during the off season. I really don't. And I do even less during the lockout. Like I want to say, was it the off season after the 2020 season? Yeah, that's when we went to Arizona and we did like the mini doc with Shane Bieber, and we were in the room when it got announced that he won the Cy Young Award, and we made a bunch of content out there. It's like it's just not happening this time around. So yeah, I haven't really done much at all, for being honest.
Content is hard to come by these days, especially with players. They're locked out, they can't really do anything themselves, and you're just like praying that Ken Rosenthal or Jeff Passan's going to be like, it's back. The baseball's back. The lockout is over and spring training is going to start in 3 weeks or whatever it's supposed to be. It's this awful, like dark time of just sitting and waiting, and that's all you can do.
It's terrible. I mean, like I have, after my schedule during the season is so ridiculous that
I can't even imagine.
I don't mind doing nothing for like a month, but then after that I get kind of restless. I'm like, all right, like I'm ready to get back into the routine of things. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, like some of my friends live out in Arizona, and they've been kind of badgering me to get on a plane and go out to Scottsdale and hang out with all of them. Yeah, I feel like I probably will do that. I know that I say this like every off season, like, yeah, no, I'll totally come out and visit. And then I don't. I feel like I might do that this year. I talked to, there's a few guys that play in the league that a lot of them live out there. I don't know that I would make content, but I'm definitely down to just go hang out and just be a normal person for a while.
Exactly. That's important.
Yeah. Warm weather is nice. I wouldn't hate that one bit.
Yeah, I'm getting the opportunity in a few months to go out to Arizona with the arena football team that I work for, and it's going to be the first time I go out there. And
that's a good time.
Yeah, especially that way. All I've heard about is, it's got dry humidity, even though, it can get up there in like the 110s. Being able to be out there in the beautiful scenery of Arizona. Definitely go out there, take the time for yourself, get ready and acclimated before the baseball season. Yeah,
I talked to Tyler Glasnow. I was like, we got to hang out in the off season. Like me and him, we just got to vibe. We have a big time bromance going on. Everyone thinks that it's a one-way street because he doesn't have Twitter. So I'm just tweeting my bromance thoughts about him during the entire season. And people don't know that it's very much a two-way street. He just doesn't have a Twitter to be able to publicly reciprocate those thoughts.
That's smart, though. Stay off Twitter.
Yeah.
That is the best thing you can do.
If you don't need Twitter for your job or social media in general, don't do it.
Yeah.
It's just such a horrible place to be.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been tough for me to get acclimated to like being on. This is my first year being a part of Red Sox Twitter. And it was amazing to meet tons of great people. But, obviously, as you have plenty of experience in, is those people who come after you, try to come after your integrity, come after your pride.
I don't
and
care.
There's once or twice.
There's like Red Sox Twitter. Like I feel like of the team Twitters, Red Sox Twitter is up there in terms of like positivity, good people. Like we don't have like a corner of Red Sox Twitter where it's like, yeah, those guys. I guess there might be, but they're not like from Boston. It's like I feel like the worst of the worst on Red Sox Twitter are the fans that are just not from Boston. Not generalizing all of them, but the ones that where you're like, what are you talking about? Like, what does that even mean? And then you look and it's like they're from like down south or something. It's like you've probably never been to Fenway before. Yeah, the Mets Twitter is a great place to be. I really, really enjoy Braves Twitter. Those people are awesome. Padres Twitter sucks. Those people are, I don't get it. Like they should, like no one cared about the Padres before maybe 2020. Like people maybe started to care a little bit in 19, but not really. And like I have like a national audience and I'm trying to give attention to the teams that deserve it. And right. Padres fans are like, you weren't here in 2015 when we sucked. Like, don't talk about the Padres now. And it's like, what? Why would I like be talking about the Padres when you guys were irrelevant? Like I'm trying to give you shine when you deserve shine. They're the only fan base like that. Like the White Sox fans, they're like, yeah, man, like you were on Lucas Giolito before. Like you were on him early when he kind of like went from like not that great to a stud in this league. And it's like, they appreciate the attention when they deserve it. Padres fans, my God, what a miserable group of people.
And you think too, like you have such a good platform. You reach so many people. You've grown the game and your audience so much that you'd think that they'd welcome the coverage, the positivity, and just like all the fun you bring to Twitter. And they're like, no fun zone.
Yeah, a lot of it is that they hate Barstool. And I was just like, okay, so you're generalizing an entire company, and it's like there might be one or two people at Barstool that you don't like, and you're taking those things that you don't like about these one or two individuals, and then you're just casting those things upon me when I personally didn't do or say any of the things that you have an issue with. And I hate people like that. I really do. And there's a lot of them, unfortunately, on baseball Twitter, where they're just like, I hate Barstool, and I'm not going to give this guy a chance because I just hate this brand and this like entire company. So yeah, that's very annoying. But I feel like out of all the 30 MLB teams, Padre fans are the only one that universally are just like, we hate Jared because he works at Barstool. Like, doesn't matter like what his takes are, what character he has as an individual. Doesn't matter. It's just like he works there. He's the devil.
That's crazy to me. And I mean, what's funny is when you said like Padres fans didn't really sort of like come out of the ground until like 2020, you just made me reminded me of when they got, Justin Upton, Matt Kemp, James Shields, Craig Kimbrell out of nowhere, when they had like that super team that like had a losing record. Exactly. But especially leading up to the season, it was pretty frustrating as a Red Sox fan. I bet you felt this as well. The distrust in Chaim Bloom, and something that I've loved that you have done is obviously with the slogan of just Chaim, period. Something that I've tried to embrace as well is in Chaim we trust, sort of like with the Patriots, and Bill we trust. And it's crazy. Didn't matter how well the Red Sox were doing throughout the season and throughout 2021. Everybody found a way to, find some wrongdoing of Chaim Bloom.
I believe in Chaim Bloom so much, genuinely, that during the 2020 season, when it's like, all right, this is Chaim's first real official season here, and that was a dreadful baseball team. Seeing people freak out about him after one season, when it's like, real diehard baseball fans are going to know, you take over as the chief baseball officer, which is just a fancy name for general manager. You take over as the GM of a franchise. You're not going to turn it around in 1 year, like in one off season. That's just not how that works. Like, you have to believe in the individual that is putting forth. They're trying to create their vision. And I believe in Chaim's vision so much that it's almost like you're watching a movie, but you have the script. And I skip to the end, and I'm like, the Red Sox are going to be a juggernaut for a long time. Like, they're going to, it's basically what Theo Epstein said when he first got here. Like, we're going to be a drafting developmental machine. And you can supplement that with free agency because the Red Sox have the ability to spend a lot more than most other teams. So with Chaim, I've seen it. Like, I've seen it with Tampa, where there were the Red Sox fans that were saying, well, now we're just going to become the Tampa Bay Red Sox because Chaim Bloom's here, so he's going to take all the ideas from the Rays and implement it with the Red Sox. And it's like, well, no, because he has money. So you're taking the Rays ideas, but the ability to spend a lot of money. What is that? Like, what is that? That's the Dodgers, and the Dodgers are in the World Series every year, or at least threatening to get into the World Series every year. Like, would you like to be the Dodgers? Yeah. Like, that sounds great, to be contending for a World Series title every year, or at least be the favorite out of the National League every year. That's the Dodgers are the Rays with money. The Red Sox are now the Rays with money, but we're still very early on in the process of becoming that, because Chaim's been here for 2 years, and one of those years was a throwaway.
And I think people really tend to forget that when Chaim Bloom came in, the Red Sox had no farm system, essentially. Dave Dombrowski came in and blew it up, which is exactly what he was supposed to do. It's what he's done. And then Chaim Bloom comes in and he's going to rebuild this farm system. And when he came in, I was like, oh, this team's going to be stacked, like 2022, 2023 season at the latest, like threatening to be continual World Series contenders, ALCS, like get in there. And if they're already doing it last season with a roster that many people didn't believe in, analysts and experts all over were saying this team's going to win 70 games, miss the playoffs, and they did a lot more last year. You have to give a lot of credit to Chaim Bloom because he's doing so much, and people, no matter what he does, people are like, it's just not enough. Like, he has no farm system, and he's rebuilding that, and that takes time. And I understand Red Sox fans being impatient, but it's like, you need to like give this guy a legitimate chance and actually see what he's doing and what he's done.
I think I find it the dynamic very odd of the Red Sox fans who would rather be the I told you so person than just enjoy the ride. Like, they would rather be like, I told you so, this Chaim Bloom guy sucks. It's like, do you actually believe that you're smarter than Chaim Bloom? Like, do you actually believe that you're a smarter, brighter baseball mind than Chaim Bloom? Because you're not. None of us are. Like, no one on Red Sox Twitter is smarter than Chaim Bloom. Let's just face the facts. So I'm along for the ride. I don't think that it's blind faith. I'm sure if he ever does something that I disagree with, I'll have no problem telling him that. Like, I talk to him periodically throughout the entire season, and I don't remember if there were any like super disagreements, but like, I mean, he's open to criticism as well. Like, I think he's one of those guys that he's not like, it's my way or no way. If you disagree with me, I don't want to hear it. He's not that guy at all. I think that he's open to constructive criticism. I think he's open to the pooling of ideas. And there are a lot of, really bright baseball people beneath him there, like BOH and Raquel and Eddie Romero. Like, there's a lot of people there that know what they're talking about, and they've been there and done that. Like, they're like, we were talking about it on Section 10 about how like Raquel has been there for 3 championships, and like the Mets wanted her, and like and then she was like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm just gonna stay with the Red Sox." Like, there are a lot of people that could be general, like BOH. A lot of these people could be like the top of the food chain in other baseball organizations, and they're choosing to remain here to work in Chaim's circle. So it's not just Chaim. Like, there's like, the Red Sox are in very good hands, and there are some people that know that and understand that, and then there are some people that pretend that they know what they're talking about, but they actually don't know what they're talking about. So that's why anytime, like, if there were any point during like 2020 where people are like, oh, the Red Sox are doomed and they're not gonna have a winning season forever, like, I'm just sitting there being like, dude, it's year one of at least a decade in the Chaim Bloom era.
Hope you are enjoying part 1 of our conversation with Jared Carrabis. We will get into segment 2 on Locked On Red Sox in just a few moments. Once again, thank you for making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. Before we head into segment 2, I need to tell you about Built Bar. You know me by now. You know how much I love Built Bar. And we are in the new year, so that means you have New Year's resolutions probably. And if yours is about getting fit, maybe eating a little bit healthier, make sure you include Built Bar in your plan. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes just like a candy bar, and honestly, maybe even better than one. Built Bar makes it easy to stick to your resolution because they taste so good, you will want to eat it. It's not like those other protein bars that can be chalky, waxy, maybe taste kind of like a cardboard. Not Built Bar. And I understand that you want to eat healthy, but it can get so boring. By like week 3, I'm thinking, this just is not worth it. Where's the chocolate? Enter Built Bar, which are covered in 100% real chocolate. And here's an idea for the new year, and I've started to do this. Head on over to all of your secret treat stashes at home, in the pantry. Maybe you have a snack drawer at your desk in your office, wherever. Throw out all the sugary stuff and replace them with Built Bars. So when you're craving a snack or a little treat, you can reach for something that's healthy and tastes incredible. And there's so many flavors to choose from. There's literally something for everyone. Coconut almond, peanut butter brownie, my personal favorite, cookies and cream. Check out built.com often to see what's new because they always have limited time flavors. And we have an offer for you. Head on over to built.com, enter promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your order. That's LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com.
I couldn't agree more. And I actually talked to somebody who was an intern for the Rays when Chaim was still over there. And he mentioned to me, he's like, you guys got the best guy you guys could have gotten. He's like, he's one of the smartest minds in baseball. And something that anytime I argue with people about Chaim, it's look at, like you mentioned with the Dodgers, look at his mentor, Andrew Friedman. He's over there with the Dodgers. And it's something where when you look at how the farm system was when he first got here, and now it's the most improved farm system in the entire league. It's pretty hard to now criticize him, especially with how well the Kike contract worked out, 214. It's pretty crazy all the successes that he has had. But as a Red Sox fan, the toughest part of last year for me, and I bet all Red Sox fans can sort of echo this, is during the August sort of breakdown, as well as right smack dab in the middle, the COVID-19 outbreak.
Yeah, there were a couple of things about last year that kind of bugged me a little bit. And I think some of them were just like coincidental or just bad timing type deals. Chaim not getting a reliever or like quote unquote going for it at the deadline. Everyone wanted to blame that kind of second half, not collapse, but just they sputtered for a while. And it was kind of right after the deadline had passed and the Red Sox didn't make any super big impact moves. But like, that's what the thought was. And then you're going to tell me that Kyle Schwarber wasn't an impact move. Like, did you watch what he did in the playoffs? Like I think that was one of the points that Coley made was the Red Sox are acquiring the best starting pitcher in the American League that would make their team debut after the deadline in Chris Sale. And like Kyle Schwarber was the best bat to change teams. And that was a fact. Like everyone just wanted to be like, yeah, the Red Sox got Kyle Schwarber anyways. So like what else did they do? And it's like, wait a second. They got Kyle Schwarber. Like you were just going to mull over that. Like, that's not something that makes an impact. I guess like to the point of when you were watching, like Matt Barnes had a tough second half after being named an all-star in the first half. Could he have done something to help out the bullpen? Sure. I think like that's probably the only time where I was like, damn, really wish that Chaim had made a decision that ultimately was not, or ultimately was made. But like the two things that were unfortunate, I don't necessarily blame the trade deadline as something that sucked the air out of the room. And that's why they sputtered in the second half. Like, I don't think it's a direct correlation. And then the other thing was the Eddie, the watch thing. Like everything went downhill after that. And I was like, oh man, they're going to blame Eddie for all this. And it's like, I didn't think it was that either. It's just poor timing.
You just know too, when that happened, that you knew that if this was it for the Red Sox, if they couldn't get out of that, everyone was going to go to that Rodriguez moment and be like, well, he ended the season. He cursed them right there all because he had to taunt him back or kind of play tough guy, where it's like, no, it's just, like you said, bad timing. It's just stupid, but it was fun. And nobody had a problem. Like, Alex Cora was really the only one who had a bigger problem with it, but it was just
from what I heard, a lot of people were not happy about it. So
really,
I personally had no issue with it. Obviously, I'm not on the team, and like I'm watching it as a fan, where I'm like, that's fun, but also like I also know how Astros fans, and they're very passionate people, and they can get very angry easily. So I was like, oh, they're gonna run with this. They're gonna field day with this. I am not engaging with anyone on Twitter after that.
Yeah, like Alex Cora's word is bond to me. So if he tells me that he shouldn't have done it, then he shouldn't have done it. Like I at the time when I saw it, I was like, yeah, I love that. And then Cora was like, no, don't do that. And I was like, Eddie, what are you doing? Why'd you do that? So I at first, because I don't like Carlos Correa. So if you're going to mock him and make fun of him, I'm obviously a big fan of that. But the second that Alex Cora showed great disapproval for what Eddie did, then I was like, all right, that was bad. You shouldn't have done that, Eddie. Use your head, dude.
It was instant too. Like he was like cheering on Erod as he was coming off, and then instantly changed. And I was like, Alex Cora's a very like he wears his heart on his sleeve out there. You know when he's mad, you know when he's happy. But I was like, I don't think I've ever seen his expression change in a split second like that, especially like toward one of his own players.
No, he's usually very even keeled. That's why, I mean, during the 2018 season, Like I'm obviously very lucky to have the type of relationship that I do with Alex, but as a fan, I am very reactionary. And there are some times where if things aren't going well, I mean, emotionally depends where I'm at, but I might fly off the handle and say some things that maybe I don't mean, or I'll freak out. And you know, when I freak out, I think other people freak out. Like I feel like there are definitely people that look to me as some sort of barometer. It's almost like when like a baby like hits its head, and then it looks at the parent to be like, are they scared? If they're scared, I'm gonna cry. If they're fine, then I'm fine. So with like the Red Sox, it's like, all right, I try to stay as calm as possible during bad situations, because I feel like if I freak out, then like there going to be a corner of Red Sox Twitter that's just going to freak out. So like if he's freaked out, I'm freaked out. But it starts at the top. So I follow Alex's lead where if he's freaked out, now I'm freaked out. And if he's cool, I'm cool. So yeah, there were a bunch of times in 2018 where he probably saw some stuff that I was tweeting and just would be like, dude, relax. Like, we're okay. We're going to be all right. We're going to get through this. So yeah, anytime that I seem calmer than maybe what you would expect, it's because I probably got the AC pep talk.
And now we know. So you know, there's a lot of moments you said, you know, as a fan that get you emotionally riled up and angry or excited. Were there any moments specifically from the 2021 season that got you feeling that way, whether it's your favorite moments, the most angry moments, or anything in between?
I mean, the playoffs, obviously, like there were moments. I feel like, and I was saying this to some of the guys on the 21 team, like it's hard to compare championships because they all have their own like special meanings, except for like 07. 07 is just kind of like the redheaded stepchild. But like 04 broke the curse. 13 was because of like the bombing. 18 was the most dominant team ever. And it was also, it was my first like championship at Barstool. So it felt bigger because of our direct connection to that team. But the 21 team, I feel like I had more and closer personal relationships with not just the players, but like top down, like a lot of people within the organization. I feel like the relationship building had kind of reached its peak. So that team winning a championship, I think would have been one of the coolest things ever for me personally, because it's like, you know, when Travis Shaw came back, I know that wasn't like a needle mover type move from like a baseball perspective, but just like having him, like seeing him in the dugout and having him come up in the playoffs. And there was that one at bat, I forget when it was. I think it was in Houston, and he hit a ball in the screws, and then like the Fox cameraman put the camera like in like the third deck, and it ended up being caught in front of the warning track. And I was like, like I cared. I think because of the personal connections to certain guys, you end up like, I already love this team more than anything in my life besides like my family. And even they would probably tell you that I love the Red Sox more than them. And then you kind of mix in that you have like these bonds with these guys, and it's like you're rooting for them as individuals on top of already wanting to root for the teams. Like the whole year was just one big like emotional roller coaster. Like a guy like Bobby Dalbec. Like I knew him personally before he got called up. We have like we have like a shared friend circle in Arizona. So it's like, yeah, like I know Bob, the guy, and then Bob happens, like his job is that he plays for my favorite baseball team. So like when you mix in stuff like that, I think I tweeted it during the season. Like, I don't think there's anyone whose personal success I enjoy more than watching like Bob, because it's just cool. Like it's to have someone that, you know, you're friends with, and it's like, oh, what do you do for work? oh, I play for your favorite baseball team. I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like, I love that. So it's just it's a very weird dynamic, but I mean, I guess that's probably how like there's people that are like sports gamblers where it's like, yeah, like I already root for my team and I love my team, but now I gamble on my team. So now I have that extra layer of like, I want them to do well and I want this to happen. And I'm more invested because of this, and this. So yeah, I mean, I the whole year to me was very fun and I enjoyed it a lot. And I know that, you'll have your Yankee fans that will chirp because, they lost in the ALCS and the Astros fans or whatever. It's like, I thought it was best case scenario for not winning a championship. It's like the Yankees didn't beat you. It was Houston, who, I mean, most people figured was, the team to come out of the American League. You took them to 6 games and they didn't win a World Series. So it's like, they can't really trip you that hard either. It's like, dude, you lost 2. So it was just a fun ride and I enjoyed it a lot.
We hope you are continuing to enjoy our conversation with Jared Carrabis. We will get into our third segment of part 1 in just a few moments, but I do want to tell you about BetOnline because BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all of the best sports wagering action for 2022. It's a new year, and that means there's a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, and UFC, right down to your favorite Vegas casino games, do not wait to take advantage for all of the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and the easiest way to bet on all of your favorite sports. And I can confirm that as somebody who is a new bettor. BetOnline makes it super easy to place your first bet. That's BetOnline, where the game starts.
Also, how the Red Sox smacked the Astros around like those first few games, and you brought up the gambling stuff, and you gave me a little bit of PTSD because I got into DraftKings literally the game after the Red Sox forgot how to hit, and I had all these props. Kyle Schwarber's going to get a hit, JD Martinez is going to get a hit. Lost like probably like $80 to $100, It is what it is. But something that I found really interesting throughout the season is you never lost your confidence. And I found it really interesting, especially leading up to the playoffs. In my mind, at the start of this season, this team reminded me so much of 2013. And I said at the start of the season that I think this team is going to be the most surprising team in baseball because nobody expected them to do what they did. But something that you guys were talking about on Section 10 before the playoffs was, I remember you mentioned to Steve, you're like, how much of a possibility do you think it is that this team is going to make an ALCS? And in my mind, as big of a Red Sox fan as I was, I'm like, realistically, this team isn't making the ALCS. And I remember you and Coley were took a little bit of convincing for Coley, but I remember you were so set on the ALCS, and you were right. And after obviously they won the ALDS, I was sitting back. I was like, wow, Jared predicted it. And so for you, like, did you fully believe and were you fully confident that they were going to be as good as you thought that they were?
Yeah. And I, for the division series, I said Sox in 4 too. I was like, yeah, I mean, like Dallas picked Tampa in 5 maybe. And I was like, yeah, it's Sox in 4. And it was Sox in 4. But like, I think when I was watching that team, it's like, all right, is this the best team in the American League? No. Tampa's better. Houston obviously scared me because of the head-to-head competition. They didn't play well against Houston at all in head-to-head. But I was like, like they don't have McCullers, they don't have Verlander. Like when it got announced that Lance McCullers was not on the playoff roster, I was like, the Red Sox are going to the World Series. Like I thought for sure. Like I was like, it's not going to be easy, but the path is certainly there. But the way that they played Tampa, some of the I think the Chris Sale, what was it? The Verdugo Sun game. It's like they were winning like 7-0 and lost. I was like, that doesn't count. The Red Sox won that game.
That was the worst.
They played like the teams that you could say were better than them. I feel like they played just fine head to head. So I think that this group had a lot of guys that had either A, been there before, or B, had not been there before, but were really hungry to get there type deal. Especially, and Alex Cora does a phenomenal job of creating that environment with his guys. So when I kind of was talking to them about the Red Sox getting to the ALCS, I was just like, well, you know, they're not the best team in the American League, but I think I even called it like a coin flip. I was like, you know, I feel like if they match up with Tampa, if they match up with the White Sox, you know, I in Houston too, it's like, okay, yeah, it's almost a coin flip. Like, it wouldn't surprise me either way if they lost that series or if they won that series. Like, surely they would have been the underdog against all three of those teams, White Sox, Tampa, and Houston. But I saw the path with Houston. Like, when they went up 2, I just told the story on Section 10 the other day about how when the Red Sox went up 2-1 in the ALCS, I called Dave and we had the conversations about like the World Series, because I think the Red Sox were up 2-1 and Atlanta was up 3-1. So I was like, all right, it's gonna be Red Sox Braves in the World Series. Like, what do you want me to do? Like, am I doing streams? Do I have to be in New Jersey for this? Can I go to the games? And then I talked about like a potential clincher. I was like, all right, if you want me to do streams for the World Series in Hoboken, New Jersey, if the Red Sox have the chance to clinch the World Series in Atlanta, I'm going. And he was like, yeah, all right, whatever. You can go to the clincher, but like, we don't need you there, whatever, making content for the other games. And I was like, all right, whatever, which I hate, by the way. Like, like the content being at the games exponentially better than the streams. I hated doing the streams. But yeah, I saw the ability to hang in there when the second half wasn't going great, and then just kind of watching that head-to-head competition, being like, yeah, like, you know, they may not be the favorite against these teams that are superior, but they're beatable.
I think the thing that put them over the hump was your special jacket and Steve's Reese's costume. I think what really hurt them was Coley's silly costume. No, I'm just playing.
Yeah,
but
Coley still gets blamed for that.
Is the special jacket making a comeback in 2022?
I think it has to.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's first of all, it's a great jacket.
I agree.
Yeah, I think it was the first home. It must have been game 3 of the division series against Tampa. Yeah, it was the first home playoff game since the wild card game, and it was much colder than I anticipated. And I was there with my mom, so I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to the team store across the street, and I'm gonna see if they have like a cool, like, I wanted to find like a cool like bullpen jacket, like the team jacket. And they didn't have those like old school like team jackets. And then I saw that one. I was like, oh man, this jacket is way better than the ones that the players wear. And it was a purchase. And it was actually funny because I think it was game 5. Yeah, game 5 of the ALCS against Houston. It was warmer that day. So I think I got there and I was wearing a black Call Him Poppy hoodie. And I was like, I can't wear the jacket right now because I'm going to sweat through this thing. Like, it's not cold enough for the jacket and a hoodie. So my seats were to the left of the Red Sox dugout. And before the game started, I was there like an hour before the game started. And I was doing that video with Wally. Like, Wally came over and we were making like a hype video with Wally. And then I'm getting yelled at from the Red Sox dugout. And I like turn and they're like, where's the jacket? Put the jacket on. And I was like, I will during the game. But like, I'm waiting, because if I put it on now, I'm just going to sweat to death and get sick.
Right.
I loved how much like fun and it's almost like craziness that jacket brought out in people, because like you said, it's just like people calling like, where's the jacket? You have to be wearing that jacket. It almost became like, I don't know, like the rally goose, or as someone's rally cap. It's just something that like fans hold on to. And I love when they have like the superstitions where it's like, Jared's not wearing his jacket, this is not going to go well.
Yeah, I was wearing it in my house. Like when they went to like when they were playing games 1 and 2 in Houston, my mom came to my apartment to watch the games with me. And like my apartment is like, it's comfortable, 68 degrees or whatever, but you put a jacket on, and then when you've got like the TVs up there firing on all cylinders, like it gets pretty hot. So I'm like sweating my balls off watching the Red Sox inside with a jacket on. So, but you do what you got to do. Like that was what, like when I tweeted out about how like there was something upstairs that, like I wanted to like frame something, like I had something framed that I wanted to hang up, and like I wanted to like switch things around, and everyone was like, yeah, you can definitely wait until after the playoffs are over to do that. Like you're not just going to like pick stuff up and start moving it around in your room. Like I was like, all right, fine. And I didn't do it.
Exactly. It's all about those superstitions. And you talking about being at the games. This is the one thing that I was most excited to ask you about was like, do you get bombarded all the time? And like when you go to the bathroom, like do people like ask you for pictures inside the bathroom? All I can think about is like you trying to take a piss at a urinal and somebody's like trying to take a selfie, and you're like, bro, come on.
It hasn't gotten that bad. I mean, like I told that story about how we were at Cheeky Monkey, and I was there with like a couple of my friends from home, and then they had to like, I needed, like, one of my friends is like Coley's height. He's like 6'5", 6'6". And to get to the bathroom, like he needed to be my like plow.
Yeah.
He needed to like walk so that I could basically hide behind him so that he could push through the crowd. But like when we first got there, I think last year, like 2019 was crazy. Like after the Red Sox won the World Series, and that first winter weekend at Foxwoods after the Red Sox won the World Series, like I think that was the first time that it kind of got to the point where it was like, okay, like we might have something here. Because if I just was walking somewhere and then I stopped and was stationary for like more than 90 seconds, then like a wall of people, like a circle wall, would like form around me that was like 20 people deep in every direction. I'm like, Jesus, like I would still like, whatever, like I'll take pictures with everyone. Like it's cool. Like, because clearly these people are either people that are going to like listen to the podcast, or they support you. That's great. So that's what we're there for. But like when we were at Cheeky Monkey, it's like, I was like, yeah, I got to take a piss. Like, can you walk me there so that I don't get like stopped a million times on the way to the bathroom and piss my pants? And then I get to the bathroom, we open the door, and then there's just like 15 dudes in there. They're like, Rocket, let's go. And I'm like, I'm not trying to piss in front of like a bunch of like fired up dudes that are like stoked that I'm there. No one's asked me for a picture in the bathroom. But yeah, like this past year, like I feel so bad for like the Fenway security that just wants to go home. Like, cause they're cool with me. They'll be like, you can stay. But like for the playoff games that we were next to the Red Sox dugout, like the game would end and then people would clear out, and then a line would start at the top of the section and then just go all the way down the stairs. And then I would just have to like go through people like taking pictures. And then like the Fenway security be like, all right, dude, like take this outside. I'm like, I didn't announce like, hey, meet and greet, come get a picture like down here. I was like they see my like Instagram story or like videos that I'm tweeting, so they know where I'm sitting. And then they come over here, and like, of course, if they ask for a picture, I'm going to say yes. But like, I feel bad because they're like, we just want to go home. We want to clean up Fenway, and we're supposed to like kick everyone out so that we were doing our jobs. But yeah, like that's kind of where it's gotten to now is, Like people, I mean, no one's rude or anything. Like it's never a bother. And I know that like a lot of people will say that too. They'll be like, oh, I hate to bother you. I'm like, dude, this is cool to me too. Like if someone recognizes you, and they want a picture with you, it's because what you're doing with your work is something that they enjoy. And then you can make them enjoy it even more by being cool to them when they meet you in person. So yeah, I mean, it's still kind of like bizarre to me that it happens. But I love it. I think it's super fun.
Does it ever get in a good way, like overwhelming, because you've clearly made such an impact on Red Sox fans and baseball Twitter that people are forming lines, even though you can tweet out like, let's meet outside this gate after the game. People are like, oh, wait, I know where he's sitting.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna, let's go form lines there before like beat the crowd. But like, does it ever get like, like a good overwhelming and not so much like, oh my God, this is too much?
I mean, I don't know if it was like, I don't know if I would use the word overwhelming, but I think after the Game 4 loss, that was the loss to Houston when Laz Diaz blew the strike 3 call to Nate, where like they could have gone into the bottom of the ninth tied. And if they win that game and they go up 3-1, they probably go to the World Series. But like they blow the strike 3 call, the Astros score 7 runs, they win the game, and now the series is tied. After that game, I didn't like, you just kind of want to like disappear. Like, I don't want to be asked about this. Like it's different in the regular season. It's like, tough loss in June, whatever, like fine, let's take a picture. But after they lost like Game 4 and Game 5, the last thing I wanted to do was talk to someone. And it's not like like I was with my dad. I was like, I don't even want to talk to you. Like, it's not like I don't know you, don't talk to me. Like, I was like, Dad, don't talk to me. Like, I don't want to talk about this game. I don't want to be here. I wish I could be airlifted out of here back to my apartment so I can go like shut all the lights off my apartment and just sit there in silence. So that part of it, that's part of like rolling the dice with sitting in those seats, because normally I sit in the State Street Pavilion, which is like, it's behind home plate, but it's high up, and like they treat that thing like the White House, like that you can't get in there without a ticket. You can't even like get down the hallway to get to where I'm sitting. So like I don't really get a ton of people that come up when I sit there. But when you're down by like the dugout, it's like, yeah, like the game is over and everyone is looking down. So like everyone can see you, and it's like, all right, now you just signed yourself up for 150 meet and greets when the last thing you want to do is use your voice box. So like that part is overwhelming. But I do try my best to like keep perspective in that. It's like, all right, the Red Sox lost. You're very sad about this. You obviously don't want to talk about this, but like this might be the only time that someone gets the chance to meet you. And if they've been listening to the podcast for like 4 years, and if the circumstances suck, but like they're a fan of the show and they like your Twitter, so they want to get a picture with you, and you just stop being a whiny little bitch and take the picture. So that's kind of the pep talk that I have to give myself during times like that, where it's not always easy. But you want to give people a good experience, because that might be the only time that they ever meet you in person.
I think that's a perfect mindset to have. And, I commend you for, having that sort of outlook on it. Cause, we see tons of, either influencers or like people who are like celebrities get so flustered and upset, when people ask for pictures. Sometimes, it's not in the best circumstances. I mean, that's how I got the opportunity to meet you. And
we hope you enjoyed part 1 of our conversation with Jared Carrabis. We will have part 2 dropping Monday, so make sure you don't miss that. Thank you for listening to Friday's episode of Locked On Red Sox and making Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day. Be sure to follow me on Twitter at LaLaLauren, 3 laws, Lauren with 4 R's. Follow Jake on Twitter at Jake Iggy, and follow the Locked On Red Sox Twitter account at LO_Red Sox. Be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to Locked On Red Sox right here on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And do not forget to check out all of the other amazing shows across the Locked On Network. Locked On A's, Locked On Yankees, Locked On Now, Locked On MLB. Everyone does an incredible job, especially during such a trying time when there is a lockout, not a whole lot going on. Everyone is continuing to churn out content. And now that you have made Locked On Red Sox your first listen of every single day, head on over to Locked On Bets to make it your second listen. Locked On Bets is your one-stop shop for all of your betting needs. It's hosted by your boy Q with expert analysis and insight from Lee Sterling. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great day. We will see you Monday.